If you look up the meaning of tourist trap, the definition is a crowded place that provides entertainment and things to buy for tourists, often at high prices. So, is Melaka, Malaysia a tourist trap? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'll also tell you everything we like and don't like about visiting Melaka, what we think we would like and not like about living in Melaka, and let you know if we think Melaka is a giant tourist trap. My name is Ryan. My wife Emily and I are the Snail Travelers. The river. The Melaka River is the heart of the city. Yes, it is touristy, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a tourist trap. I mean, the river wasn't built just to attract tourists. The river has always been there, right? And if I were you and coming to Melaka for either a visit or for a long-term living, this is the place I would suggest spending the majority of your time. It is such a pleasant area to take a stroll, eat at a cafe, or find a bench and sit and watch the activity. And the river is especially pleasant at night because the river and the bridges are all lit up in different colors. Perhaps the most relaxing way to see the river is on the boats. Now, these boats, yeah, may be a bit of a tourist trap, but we thought it was worth it and still enjoyed the experience. But seriously, folks, come to the river, stroll along the river, relax by the river, and you will see why we are giving the Melaka River a thumbs up. The pace of life. If I had to take a guess where you would be coming to Melaka from, I would guess it would either be Kuala Lumpur or Singapore, which are both pretty hectic, busy, and fast-paced cities. Melaka has quite the opposite atmosphere, and even though, yeah, Melaka is very touristy, to us, it feels much more laid back, more relaxed, and everything goes at a slower rate. It's only about an hour and a half from Kuala Lumpur and a few hours from Singapore, so it's easy to get to those bigger cities. But we prefer the less chaotic vibe of Melaka, and that is why we are giving a thumbs up for the pace of life here. The historical sites. Let me give you a brief 30-second history lesson about Melaka before talking about the historical sites, because the history of Melaka is so different from the rest of Malaysia. Melaka was ruled by one of the earliest Malay sultans, but the Portuguese realized Melaka's importance for international trade, and so the Portuguese attacked and captured Melaka in the early 1500s. However, 100 years later, the Dutch began fighting back and forth with the Portuguese for control of Melaka, with the Dutch eventually coming out on top. But another exchange of control happened in the 1800s when the British took over power, and then the Japanese briefly took control before being included into the formation of Malaysia. Now, why is all this history important? Well, you will see the colonial influence from these different eras around the city. First, we have the St. Paul Church, built by the Portuguese shortly after they seized power. There isn't too much left of this church today. It is, after all, the oldest church in Southeast Asia, but it's still worth a visit. Nearby, and built around the same time as the church, is 𝗟𝗃𝗄𝗂, which is a fortress built by the Portuguese. Again, there isn't too much left, but still a great place to visit. Once the Dutch took over, they built their own fortress right on the river, where you can see the cannons protecting the waterway. Then we have Christ Church, built in 1741 by the Dutch, but converted to an Anglican Church of England about 100 years later once the British took control. The history and the related sites and landmarks are truly fascinating. I wouldn't call these sites a tourist trap because they obviously weren't built for tourists hundreds of years ago, and so we give the historical sites in Melaka a thumbs up. Chicken rice balls. One of Melaka's famous foods is chicken rice balls. I wasn't expecting much when I ordered these, but they were much better than I expected. I thought they tasted like Campbell's chicken rice soup, but put into a solid ball instead of soup in a bowl. Is this my favorite Malaysian food? Well, no, but I think they are good and give it a thumbs up. The Trishaws. One of the other things unique to Melaka are the elaborately decorated Trishaws. Or at least I've never seen anything like this anywhere else in the world, have you? The thing that is so unique about the Melaka Trishaws is the way they are decorated. The drivers go completely extravagant on theming them. We saw Spider-Man Trishaws, we saw My Little Pony Trishaws, Minions Trishaws, Smurf Trishaws, and of course, Hello Kitty Trishaws. You can see that they light up pretty glamorously, I would say, and each one has its own soundtrack playing when moving around town. Have a quick listen for a second here. Yes, these are for tourists. Call them a tourist trap if you want, but I still think they look fun, and so I'm giving them a thumbs up. The prices. We're in Malaysia here, so the prices for expats and tourists are going to be quite reasonable. If you are coming here for a short period of time, yeah, it might be nice to stay somewhere near the river, but for a longer stay, I don't know. As nice as the river is, I wouldn't want to be surrounded by the tourists every day and would personally prefer to live away from the river. This particular apartment that you've been looking at in the video here is the apartment where we stayed, located about a 15-minute walk to the river. The building is aging and could use a little modernization, but still comfortable enough for us. Apartments in this building rent for about $25 per night on Airbnb. Think around $800 for 1 month, or less than $450 plus utilities on a 1-year lease. And yeah, for utilities, it's hot and humid here all year, so the air conditioner could be a big part of the utility bill. I would estimate about $100 per month in total for electricity, water, and internet combined. The swimming pool at our apartment, yeah, a little rundown. It could use some maintenance, and nobody's actually swimming in it as far as we can tell. Food is inexpensive. Those rice balls I showed you cost around 1 ringgit or 25 cents for 2 or 3. Overall, if we were living in Melaka long-term, based on our personal lifestyle, we think we would need our spending to be something in the $1,100 to $1,300 range to live comfortably, and I'll put our sample budget down in the description below. Overall, we think the cost of living in Melaka is quite reasonable, and we give a thumbs up for this category. Quick fire categories. Okay, let's finish up the video with a quick rating for the remaining categories, starting with a thumbs up for healthcare. The hospitals in Malaysia are generally at a very high quality, and Melaka is no exception. Next, let's give a thumbs up for safety in Melaka. In fact, I saw somewhere on the internet that in 2016, Melaka was rated the safest city in Malaysia. Next is the Line Clear restaurant right on the banks of the river. We ordered chicken satay here. It was so good, especially when adding the peanut sauce to the chicken. Next is pollution, which is going to get a thumbs up. I had also read on the internet about complaints because of trash in the river and even the river smelling bad, but we didn't see this, and it seems like the pollution situation has improved. Jonker Street is next. I went back and forth on this one, and it's going to get a mixed review. This is a great street to wander down for food or for antique shops, especially at night and on the weekends, but this could also be a tourist trap. The shops here are mostly for souvenirs and catering to tourists. Public transportation is next, and sorry, but that's a thumbs down for us. There are buses here, but they don't seem to run too frequently depending on the route. The walkability gets a thumbs up. It's relatively easy to get around on foot, especially when walking along the river. The Kneading Peace Cafe gets a thumbs up. The desserts here are really delicious, but even better is this cafe's mission, which is to train underprivileged people to work in the restaurant industry. And finally, the street art in Melaka gets a thumbs up, and we would even say it rivals Penang and Ipoh, and we think the street art is one of the great features about Melaka. So there you have it, my friends. This is our rating on Melaka. Now, would we call Melaka a tourist trap? In general, I would say no. It is very touristy, yes, and there are some elements of Melaka that I would call a tourist trap. But the city as a whole, no, we have found it to be a very pleasant place. We would go back again, and we think we would even enjoy living here long term if we ever had that opportunity. Alright, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future videos. This playlist has our entire collection of videos from Malaysia. And then here we have another video for you to check out. Thanks for traveling with us.